Hello and welcome to the Willow Show, your home for a wealth in health and sexual vitality. I'm Willow Brown. I'm your sexpert for the hormonally challenged. And today we are going to be talking about your period, which is very exciting. So if you're still having your menstrual cycle, this will be very interesting for you. If you're no longer having your menstrual cycle, you might want to watch it just anyway, because you probably know some other people who still are. So when we look at the menstrual cycle, we are actually looking at a picture of a woman's health. So if there are irregularities, if there is painful cycles, if there is skipped or missed periods, there is something that's out of balance, something that could be addressed from a health perspective, and oftentimes an emotional perspective as well, because the hormones in your body have two sides of the same coin. So they've got this physical side of them, what they do for your body biologically, and then they've also got this emotional side of them, what happens with your emotions as you go through these waves in your hormones. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start with the day one of your cycle. Day one is the day that you start your period. And your period ideally, of course, should be about 28 to 29, 30 days, somewhere in that range. Some people fluctuate, and that's normal for them. And some people have 2 periods in 1 month, and no period for 3 months. And so that's not so normal. We want to address that and fix that if those are the cases. But when we look at day one, that's the day of reset. That's the day that all your hormones drop back down to baseline, and you get this moment, this reprieve of just coming into stillness and coming into this reset. So I really, really encourage my clients and my patients to take the day and just, maybe they're not able to take the day off of work, or maybe they still need to, do their kids and their family. But what they can do that day is at least, put on a special piece of jewelry or wear the color red, and pay closer attention to nurturing and taking care of themselves during that first and second, sometimes even the third day. Now, if you're someone who gets cramps, really bad cramps on day 2, 1, 2, or 3 of your cycle, then this is going to be extra important for you to take extra time to rest, which could mean not necessarily lying down to take a nap, although if you can do that, please do. But it could just mean putting on more soothing music when you're driving from soccer practice to piano practice. Whatever it is for you in your life, you want to take a little bit more time and consciousness around nurturing and nourishing yourself. Another really important way of nourishing yourself is to eat consciously. So instead of shoveling food in your mouth while you're in the car from this place to that place or between meetings, I would encourage you to actually sit down, chew your food, taste your food, and feel it as it goes down into your body. It's a completely different experience for eating. So that's, we're moving from day one, and then from there, your estrogen is going to start to rise. It's going to start to climb. Ideally, that's what it should be doing. Starts to climb and rise as you go through that week of your period, and you start to feel better as your days go on. You're on day 4 or 5, your period's coming to an end, and you're like, oh yeah, things are good. I feel like myself again. So then you're getting into that second week of your cycle. These first 2 weeks are known as the follicular phase, and the last 2 weeks are known as the luteal phase. So as you're in your second week of your cycle, that is the time of that's the time when you're going to feel the most normal, like the most like yourself. Your energy is going to be high. You're going to want to be social. You're going to want to be out and about. This is a really good time to get creative projects done. This is a really good time to even start new projects. And then shortly after that, you're right into ovulation. So as you hit that peak of your cycle in ovulation, right before it, you're going to get an estrogen drop, and then it will come up again. So you might get a couple days of the blues or a couple days of just feeling funky right before that ovulation. And sometimes people feel like, Why am I having PMS in the middle of my cycle for like 2 days? And that's what that is. That's that estrogen drop right before it climbs back up again during your ovulatory moment. And so then from that ovulatory phase, what happens then is the estrogen comes down. It's still there. It's still cruising along. So you still got that kind of like, I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm happening. But your progesterone is also going to start to rise in that second phase. So now we're at like week 3. Now we're in luteal phase, week 3 and 4. And in that phase, when your progesterone is starting to rise, things are going to start to feel a little bit different. Not quite as social, not quite as sexual. Your libido is not quite as high. And as progesterone rises and rises throughout that second half of your cycle, your libido might actually go down quite a bit, because progesterone is more responsible for that holding things in place and not so much of that outward expansion and wildness. So it's a more inward time. Then as you get into week 4, progesterone is really high. And then right before you start your next period, all of your hormones are going to start to kind of come down again. And this is a really good time sexually. This is a really good time to get more into your sensuality. Let your sensual practices of scent and smell and sight and taste and touch and all of these hearing, all of these amazing portals into the present moment, these senses that you have, allow them to really lead your sexual experiences. So if you're with a partner, let your partner know, like, I need a lot more foreplay during this time. I need a lot more touching and lightness and sensuality before I'm going to get turned on and revved up and ready to go, which is the opposite of what happens during ovulation, which is great because that's procreation. So, look at this whole cycle that you go through every single month as a beautiful ride. Instead of like this emotional roller coaster ride, you can really start to see it as this beautiful weaving that happens throughout your life, this beautiful weaving of emotions and hormones that are flowing through your body. I like to think of the hormones as like little elixirs, little tiny cups, little elixirs of medicine, and you can sip from these elixirs of medicine and drink of them and bring them into your body, bring them into your experience of life to make life so much more fun and so much more enjoyable. So if you have any questions at all, please email me, support@Yin Wellness. I'd love to hear your questions or your comments, and I'm sending you all my love. Namaste.